Well, welcome to Trainwreck Tuesday. Oh my, do we have a breaking story from you, straight out of my home state, by the way, of Tennessee. And on the way to that story, be sure, go ahead and grab your Constitution so you can hang on to it, because just so you know, I want you to have it with you because we're all going straight to hell. And every now and then when things get this absurd, as they are in the first 100 days of Donald Trump's second term, you just have to sometimes smile and go, are you really serious? And in the vein of that, let's have good old boy from the South like me, Trey Crowder, give you a little sense of where we're headed on this story. Take a listen.
That Donald Trump is nothing like regular Americans, as he got a break on his bills. How about that? Must be nice, right? That's right. A judge granted him an extension on his bond and cut it more than in half to $175 million. How's Trump going to raise that money? He's going to partner with Lee Greenwood to offer a new line of Trump-branded God Bless the USA Bibles.
Oh yeah, and that's not all. Bear in mind, you have Representative Miller saying this about God and the weather if you didn't catch it. Check this out.
You mentioned God's design, and one of the things that's really bothered me that I've been fighting is these Green New Deal policies that really go against God's design for nature and how he created this world that we live in. Can you talk a little bit about your position there and the work you're doing in DC in that front?
Sure. I've been very outspoken about this. It's a sham. The whole climate change is a sham. First of all, God controls the climate because he controls the sun, and the sun controls the weather primarily.
Because in this breaking story, one of Trump's sycophants in the South, Tim Burchett, has just lost his mind, just like everyone else, and has forgotten religion doesn't exist in the Constitution. But listen to what he has first, and I'm going to show you the breaking story in a few seconds, on what he says about education, bearing in mind he's from Tennessee, so am I. Take a listen.
Washington, D.C. is the most heaviest funded school in the nation and has the worst test scores. And because it's not a one size fits all. What works best in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, North Carolina, or New York does not work the same in Florida or Tennessee or Arkansas.
First of all, Tim, you started out by saying most heaviest. And when I went to school in Tennessee, we were 49th out of 50 in the country. But in this breaking story, notice how he says one size doesn't fit all, and yet what they really want is they want their religion to fit all in this country. And in this breaking story, this is what the GOP, God-fearing people, really wish upon those who do anything out of humor or fun. This is both funny and frightening. Here is the story. Breaking news, in quotes, beyond the pale. MAGA lawmaker says SNL actor headed to hell over sketch mocking Trump. Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee suggested Jesus Christ would send Saturday Night Live actors and writers to hell for a sketch that mocked President Donald Trump. In a sketch over the weekend, comedian James Austin Johnson mentioned Jesus during his impersonation of Trump, in quotes. The stock market did a Jesus, the comedian said. It died, then on the third day it was risen, and then on the fourth day it died again, possibly never to return, just like Jesus. On Monday, Burchett reacted to the sketch in an interview with Real America's Voice host Eric Bolling. In quotes, Burchett said, I remember my daddy had some scripture. It was on an old thing in his bathroom, the Republican lawmaker recalled, and it said that Jesus wouldn't be mocked. You deny me before me, and I'll deny you before the gates of heaven. And that just all fits in there. The quotes continued when he said, it makes me sad that gets passed off as humor, he continued. At some point, Christians are going to have to say enough is enough, and we're going to, the advertisers on them things will have to pay the price. We say we're not going to buy our cars, we're not going to buy our computers or whoever or whatever's on that, and in quotes. And so I'm going to find out who the advertisers were doing that, and I'm going to make a few calls to some people because that's beyond the pale. That is just pathetic. It really is. Now, I understand. I don't know from where you're watching this. You might not even be in the United States of America. But I grew up in rural Tennessee. I grew up around all of this mentality regularly, and I don't have a core issue with religion. I don't have a core issue with faith. I have a core issue with the fact that in this country, The framers of the Constitution, way, 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 way back in the day, said, how about no? We're going to leave that part out of our new life over here on this new land. You know, words, states named New York. People forget that's just New York from the city that's in England. So what I'm trying to say is they'll always be crying and complaining about something or other that's related to God and want God to govern America. And that is happening every single day in so many ways. What do you think Project 2025 is about? That's what the SAVE Act is about. That's what all of these actions are about. And I love the fact that Attorney General Pam Bondi just talked about how she was going to give people 20 years in prison for vandalizing a Tesla. And this guy says, God is coming for you, and I'm calling advertisers, and we're going to find out we ain't going to be buying no computers or know anything from y'all people that support Saturday Night Live laughing at God. I mean, don't you grasp the hypocrisy there, Representative Burchett? Don't forget, man, you point, 3 fingers pointing back. Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Try to keep that in mind. Y'all stay frosty.